Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Persona 5 playthrough. In this part, we're actually going to move the plot forward, because it's time for Madarame to have his goddamn change of heart at last. Also, let's talk about the weather, because that's the best way to start every story. Said no one ever.
It's a good conversation starter.
I think it's like some cardinal rule of writing now that you should never open on details about the weather. Like, the classic line, "It was a dark and stormy night," is specifically held up as a line that you should never start a story with. So.
Even as a parody thing, it doesn't work, so.
And yet it keeps popping up because it's so well known. Even Wild Arms 3 starts out with that. And it's like, why? Why did you have to go there? What story is that even from?
What, A Dark and Stormy Night?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Like, I know a story must have started with it first, but... It sounds like the kind of line you'd start, like, a campfire tale with, rather than a book.
Yeah. Or something you would use, like, to write down in a play, sort of thing. It's not something the audience would read, per se, but it was a way to set the stage.
Also, like, history lessons on blazers. Apparently they got their name from their colors, but the uniform at Shujin is a black blazer. So, Chono is a little cynical about that, apparently. Oh no, black is a cool color.
That's why everyone uses it.
Well, it's a cool color until you step out into the sun with it, then it just gets really uncomfortably warm. Ugh. I do like the black and red color scheme of the Shujin Academy uniforms.
Shadow the Hedgehog would definitely go there.
It's funny though, because like, look at the way the classrooms are laid out. You've got like a window on the one side that you can clearly see the outdoors with, but you've also got a window on the other side that you can see the window on the other side of the hall with. So you've got a view of the outside on both sides. It's such an airy feeling school.
And since we're next to the window, that means we're a protagonist.
Everyone is next to the window. Everyone's a protagonist. This is an equal opportunity protagonist school.
I'm closest to the window. I'm the super protagonist.
I wonder if they gave him Light Yagami see it on purpose. Probably.
Maybe. For once I want an anime where the main character is like front row center. So they can't dreamily stare out the window while the lecture's going, or look at their love interests as they sit in the farther back.
The thing about Personas 3 and 4 is that you actually were pretty close to the middle and the front in those games. So it's a bit... Well, they did that mostly, I think, in interest of allowing themselves an easy camera angle to show the teacher when they're lecturing. But they obviously went a bit more stylized in every aspect here, so they took a more creative camera angle to give him that spot.
It's the famous kid again! Yeah!
Our plan to run really, really fast to the future!
We're gonna run really, really fast, like that guy right there.
Yep.
Walking on a treadmill, is that a thing?
Yeah, it is.
I don't know.
It's a means to cool down while in a gym.
I suppose so. Yeah, that makes sense.
To the future!
Now we're really going.
He's running less wacky, at least.
Only a few more sessions and we'll be running like Sonic the Hedgehog. Do you think anyone does that? Runs on a treadmill with their arms splayed out behind them?
Like a Naruto run?
Well, when I saw him running on the treadmill, it reminded me of the ending of Kingdom Hearts 1.
I think it's technically something like the bird run or something like that. Like it's a specific kind of running technique.
Yeah, but it's known in America as the Weeb run because of Naruto fans. Thanks, guys.
Yep.
I think... no, Naruto was out before Sonic Adventure, right?
around the same time. It's around the same time, but
what about Sonic CD? Did Sonic CD predate
Was it on American
Naruto?
TV?
Not really. It's one of those. I think more people know about it because they were making fun of the dorks in high school who ran like that because they watched too much anime rather than one video game.
Yeah. I always associate it with Sonic the Hedgehog, so... Yeah.
I'm sure I'll be fine. He's been catatonic in his bed for like 8 days now.
Not necessarily catatonic, just depressed. It's a bit contrived how they always end up waiting, so they kind of throw that formula out of the window with Kaneshiro by having him confess right away, so that the amount of time you wait until the deadline is actually waiting for things to be sorted out on the legal side, you know, because he turns himself into the cops, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Yeah. And then I think after that you get Futaba.
Yes.
And
she passes out from exhaustion.
Yeah, she passes out with from exhaustion. After Futaba, does it jump straight to Okumura?
I mean, there's the Hawaii and the beach and stuff, but yeah, Okumura is next.
Okumura is the one after Futaba. And yeah, at that point you're waiting again. So it's a return to the formula, but they throw a curveball at the very end, so it feels a bit fresher.
And then at the casino, they make you do it at the last minute.
Yeah.
Like, if you try to do it earlier, they'll just be like, no, we have to wait until the police have done their thing, because otherwise this won't work, so...
Yeah. There was actually a bit of a scare with Shido, where, like, he's in his room, talking about how, like, what have I done? And all the people who are there with him are like... If he confesses, they'll drag the rest of us down with him. And they all look at him. And my first impression was that they were going to murder his ass.
So the Phantom Thieves murdered Shido.
I thought that would be like the endgame twist, but no, he's able to confess his crimes the same way as everyone else. No one stops him. Maybe because they realize if they killed him off, they would just get arrested for it. But yeah, it was an interesting little change to how things went at that point. The other thing, though, that I'm wondering, I lost my train of thought again. There's too much text flying around on screen. I shake with desire.
She shakes with desire to do your laundry.
Kawakami, real talk, Kawakami, okay? I'm fine, like, forking over $50 every so often so you can keep your job and pay for whatever bills you've got to pay, because, like, we're cool like that, we're friends here, but can you not make it awkward? Please.
But isn't it already awkward that you're associated with a teacher?
I just love the idea of Sojiro just like glancing at his phone and the first thing he sees is, I'm shaking with desire, master. Like, what kind of
kinky shit is this boy into?
No, Sojiro will be like, aw, yeah.
You know what's great, though? The whole, like, second half of the game, Futaba must have been keeping her mouth shut about this, because she had to have seen it when she was messing around on the protagonist's phone, right? So...
I mean, she must have bugged LeBlanc by this point, so she must be hearing everything, right?
Well, yeah, she had, like, I think the first floor bugged. So she's not necessarily hearing what's going on in the protagonist's room, but she also hacked their phones to get in contact with them, and probably confirmed that they were the Phantom Thieves by checking their message history. Which means she checked the protagonist's message history and probably found the messages to Kawakami, and the messages to the doctor, and the messages to Iwai, and all this other shit that would have looked super suspicious, and she never said anything about any of it, not even to ask what the deal was. I mean, I guess she can't really talk. She spent years as a corporate hacker or whatever, like hacking into the mainframes of corrupt corporations and outing them for doing naughty things. But like, okay.
Well, knowing Futaba, she probably didn't recognize what was actually going on in a lot of these situations.
You might think that, but Futaba is basically anonymous, so... Okay. I mean, I don't necessarily read Futaba as the type who's lacking in social awareness. She's just got a phobia to social situations. So...
Which unfortunately might stem a little bit from lack of social awareness.
Well, not necessarily awareness, like... It's one thing to be genre savvy, to understand what concepts are and where they come from and what kind of people do certain things. You can get that stuff from stories. You can get that stuff from anime.
Well, that's what she tries to do, is the thing.
Yeah. It's a whole other thing to actually get out into the world and talk to people. So, like, you would know what this kind of story is like. You could probably have found it in a video game somewhere. You see what I did there? But like, you know... Futaba is not necessarily good at applying that knowledge in any kind of useful way. Yet. I mean, she's young, so she's got plenty of time to get better, but, you know. She's incredibly sharp, but not good with people. Oh well.
Funny how those two things tend to mix a lot.
Sorry.
Oh, you know, you always got your weird eccentric geniuses in these stories.
Kindness.
I do like Futaba as a character. It's just like I would never have in my wildest imaginings thought that she was a romance option because I assumed Sojiro would shut that shit down. But apparently she is a romance option, so okay.
It's definitely one of the more light-hearted romance options.
Well, I would imagine so. I don't really see Futaba as the cringeworthy flirting type. Like, I honestly don't think her vocabulary includes the words needed to engage in that kind of flirting. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll be seeing more of her regardless soon enough.
It's weird to think about, though, because although Futaba has no social skills in the real world, she's probably spent hours upon hours socializing in MMOs. So...
Well, that's why she uses Kek.
Yeah.
Is that is that
that's a Warcraft thing?
Yeah, I know it's a Warcraft thing. I think they actually explain that in game. But like oh no, they don't explain that in game. I looked it up when I saw it in game because I'm like, okay, where's she pulling that reference from? But I think like I lost my train of thought again. I think I'm going senile.
Is he crying? The confession.
I have committed crimes that are unbecoming of an artist.
The thing about Madarame's confession is that he starts outright blubbering. Like, he's way more visually pathetic than Kamoshida was. Kamoshida was very withdrawn and reserved. Like, he walked into the auditorium saying that he'd been reborn, and he was very quiet and calm about his confession, and then he got down on his knees. Madarame, on the other hand, is falling apart, which is an interesting contrast because calm and reserved is Madarame's fake personality. You know?
Well, I mean, it's kind of doing an opposite situation because Kamoshida was very, I don't want to say emotional, but very in your face about a lot of things.
Yeah, like he had energy to his personality. Even when he was being nice, he had energy, enthusiasm. He was a sports guy. He sounded like one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, I just thought that was an interesting thing to think about. Also, these big screens that apparently are a thing in Tokyo. Is that a thing outside of Japan anywhere?
what, the large TV screens on buildings
Yeah.
and stuff?
Yeah.
I think there's a few in Europe.
Huh.
I mean, doesn't New York have some?
Well, I think
Sort of.
Maybe Wall Street does, but
Yeah.
Or Times Square.
yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah, we're big time now.
Just, you know, when one of these things breaks, it must be a bitch to repair.
Do these bandits have something to do with that old geezer's apology?
Oh, I've heard of them before. They supposedly
So,
steal
what do they
entire
do for these things when there's like a hurricane rolling in?
Wait, what?
Do they cover them up at all or something?
Well, the screen's technically inside the
I
building.
feel like I saw something about that online too.
Well, yeah, but like the covering is exposed,
So
isn't it?
it was like, we're going to take your heart? Oh,
That is a really good question,
someone really did
which
that.
I do not have the answer to.
Phantom Thieves.
Oh look, it's Pleasant Boy.
Phantom Thieves again.
Named character. Our approval rating's gonna skyrocket.
You guys see the news about Madarame? It's just like what happened with Kamoshida.
And they mentioned the Phantom Thieves.
Famous.
Man, this is starting to get interesting. If we do it right, we can change people's hearts. With this power, we might be able to do more than
So,
just getting back
here's
to
my
society.
question.
It'll be a big deal.
I just have, like, I have to ask. Alright, the thing about this scene
Pushing on then.
is that, like, there's this cop who comes over and talks to these kids like they shouldn't be here. Like, they're loitering and that's a bad thing. Look 2 feet to the right. Now look 2 feet to the left.
If we continue doing this, we'll definitely be able
We're not
to
the only
reverse
people here
the
doing
trend.
exactly that, so what is the problem here, officer? Like, you just, like, literally walked past 2 people who were loitering there, right behind you. Turn around, asshole.
Defense officers.
You're also looking directly at another bunch. There's another bunch over there, and another bunch further down. Those guys all have frickin'... There's like 3 guys over there with the frickin' surgical masks on. Isn't that some sort of bancho thing?
Are you friends?
So why not get on their cases? I mean, come on.
You know, those millennials are always getting into trouble.
That was a joke. He didn't get much sleep last night.
Well, all right. Just make sure you disperse before it gets too late, okay? There have been some.
Are you giving this speech to all the other guys who are hanging out around this railing?
I know, right?
Careful.
Nope, apparently not. They're just walking away. Okay,
Still light out.
sure.
Man, those guys must
Why
have
not?
too much time on their hands.
Well, it could be worse. It could be like the guys in Pokemon X and Y where the police or construction guys stop you from going further into the city because there's a power outage. The power's on if you go there at night and people just walk past them anyway.
Look at us. Phantom Thieves incident.
Oh right, I remember that.
What about that NPC? Come on.
We have to railroad you to the right area.
Around, we're the only people reading about it.
I guess you're right.
Hey, Yusuke, you able to get anything out of Madarame? Remember how he was talking about that suspicious person
Now,
in the
it
black
kind of
mask?
irritates me that, like, nobody in the goddamn Phantom Thieves party seems to consciously draw the connection between the guy in the black mask and the mental shutdown cases.
Desires get stolen after all.
Now, I think I get what they were going for, like, it's a bigger city, and the mental shutdowns aren't as frequent as the apathy syndrome cases, so they kind of get lost in the shuffle of things, but, like, there was enough chatter about them in the early game that, you know, it was obvious that there was a connection. So, like, why did it take so long for the Phantom Thieves to figure out that there was a connection? Are they just that obsessed with their own goals that they don't notice the possibility?
Wait, what?
I don't know.
You know, you could ask her to model for you whenever
Stop
you want.
encouraging him, Ryuji.
Moron.
Then again, now that Yusuke will be living alone, it'll be easier for us to meet up whenever we want.
Yeah, that's certainly an advantage.
And it'll probably
I
take some
mean,
time finding
if you
a
have
target
to,
as big as Madarame.
if you have to make an excuse for your parents every 2 days, it gets a little awkward at home.
We'll be entrusting that to you again, Ryuji.
I mean, they might start assuming things about where you're actually going, like, I don't know.
Yusuke Kitagawa.
How convenient that she happened to be crossing by this area at the same time we were loitering.
I like how the protagonist actually stops and turns his head, like...
To the future.
He noticed and is being extremely subtle about noticing her there. In-game, I am nothing like that. I stop and I talk to her every time, just to see her flustered reaction.
So after Shiho Suzui, you did it again for someone you barely knew, and you sent away twice.
I know you're following me.
To the police, and yet you still wanted to save him. Moreover, you ended up in a museum.
I don't know why she thinks that's so weird. I mean, at the beginning of the year, Shiho Suzui was basically a stranger too, so... I mean, a stranger that I was about to spend a year in the same class with, but, you know, I talked to her once.
The truth behind this tale of
Maybe.
Just a bit. Just a bit.
Tell me about this new member who joined your group. There's no point in being stubborn. It will only damage your position.
Yeah,
my position's already pretty shitty to begin with.
Okay, I should warn you, Miss Prosecutor, that this next part of the story might be a little awkward for you. Just a little, you know.
There's still much more that I want to
I mean, I might have been dating your sister.
Oh.
She just slams your head against the table. What?
Never start with the head. The victim gets all fuzzy.
Where are the other Emotos?
He doesn't compare to the previous two. Even the police had been struggling to apprehend him.
I wonder if that file actually says anything.
Zoom in and enhance.
Well, I wouldn't be able to tell anyway. I can't read Japanese.
Zoom in and enhance. It works all the time. That's how computers work, right?
Of course.
Ugh, I wish.
The suspect has repeatedly testified that he does not have any recollection of his actions. A full psychiatric evaluation will be performed to further investigate the crime's details.
Now, here's the oddball thing about the change of heart concept. Like, if there was strong suspicion that the confession was,
coerced out of them,
which, you know, the whole Phantom Thief thing obviously adds that suspicion. There's no... It becomes immediately, like, inadmissible in court. So... the prosecution side here is probably running around like ducks, trying to make those confessions admissible, you know? So this is probably a major headache for them.
Very well, I leave it to you. However, you must not let this interfere with your regular...
Yay, work.
Thank you, sir.
Extremely subtle foreshadowing.
I wish they didn't keep cutting to the SIU director so much in the game.
And you think he's gonna be an important character, though, but no, he just gets offed late game, like half the cast at the end of the L arc in Death Note does. Like, the bad guy thinks he's won, so he kills off a bunch of people all at once, and they sort of just keel over in the middle of things.
I'll just keep loudly narrating to myself even though I'm alone in my office.
SIU Director John McClane. Alright. Well... okay, I mean... why would anyone go after me? I'm so handsome. I think we have this conversation with Yusuke about 3 times. Like, I honestly don't think he knows how to... how to, you know, just accept, it was nothing as an answer.
Text conversations.
Yusuke is also one of those characters who's not very socially apt. There's a lot of those in the Phantom Thieves. Like, it's weird to think about, but the protagonist, An, and Ryuji are probably the normalest characters in this group.
And the main protagonist doesn't even talk.
Because, like, after that, it's Yusuke, followed by Makoto, followed by Futaba, and then Haru. And, like, all of those have their own special brand of I don't get people. You know? So...
They're all outcasts. They're all loners doing their own thing.
Well, I wouldn't call Makoto an outcast. She's, like...
Kinda.
Well, not so much an outcast. She's like the perfect student. She's the one everyone expects to succeed. She's basically a less charismatic Light Yagami. So,
but like they don't like shower her with praise and stuff. And people don't want anything to do with her because she's so intelligent and I don't know. There's this feeling that like Makoto doesn't really get to hang out with people and doesn't really get to have that same camaraderie because they're all just looking up to her and stuff. And
oh yeah, there's a very stark dividing line between what she does in her free time and the persona she projects to the school. So so it comes as a surprise when she has like a pencil case for some show she liked as a kid that they don't make merchandise for anymore. That kind of thing.
Yeah, like I think back to her social link where she's trying to be friends with that one girl. And at first, she's like really standoffish. Like, what did I do? Did I violate the student council rules? Like, what? What's going on? Why are you talking to me?
Yeah, that was a cute friendship, though. I liked it. I liked the way it panned out.
Yeah.
Becoming best pals with the shady Yakuza gun guy. Awesome.
I'm just remembering this scene from a fanfiction that I read like yesterday, where like Makoto and Haru are investigating the lead character Ren. So they're going around to all the places he frequents, and Makoto is just low-key interrogating a Y, who's having none of it because he's not an idiot. And then Haru just comes out with a model grenade launcher, and she's like, I like this one! Before she even has a persona in the context of that story. And it was just like, that was the line the scene ended on. It was just like a massive what the hell for both Iwai and Makoto. Because, like, Haru might as well be a human personification of the cute girl trope. So her walking out with a massive grenade launcher model and saying she wants it is just, what? You know what? I'm just gonna abandon subtlety and say, yeah, it was a Y. A Y sent me.
What?
He's
You're
sending
fired.
me on these wild goose chases. People are gonna know he's sending me on these wild goose chases. Hey, I'm not a kid. I'm a dad. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
So, homeless man, speak away.
So yeah, the story involves the Hong Kong mafia. Whether or not it's the same Hong Kong mafia that Kaneshiro works for a different brand, or Kaneshiro works for a different mafia, I don't think is ever specifically stated. But in any case, the gist of this story is, okay, Iwai's old friend from the Yakuza botched a deal for a bunch of firearms. And in order to pull the wool over the eyes of everyone else involved, he wants Iwai to make him a bunch of model guns, which he will then pass off as the guns that he obtained in that deal, and I assume blame the mafia for trying to swindle him.
Oh, ye gods, my gun deal is ruined!
Now, this is obviously a bad thing to let happen on more than one level, not only because it's dangerous for a Y, but because if that kind of conflict were to start with the Mafia being accused of swindling the Yakuza, and obviously they know that they tried to give the guy real guns, well, that's like two criminal organizations going up against each other. One of them is not Yakuza, so they might not be as subtle. Worst case scenario, there could be some violent conflicts involved.
But what if I were to purchase fake guns and pass them off as real ones?
So it's like thinking about this scenario, I can only imagine, like, my main character is intervening not just to help EY, but also because he knows that if this is allowed to proceed, it might spill over and hurt some civilians.
Who's playing the dramatic music? Sorry, that's the jukebox. It randomly just turns on whenever a guy in a suit comes in. I don't know why.
It's my part-timer. He keeps sticking this USB drive full of video game music into it. It's annoying. But, you know, he works gratis, so, you know, I let him have his way for a little while. I'm gonna let him down gently and just, like, steal his USB drive sometime and step on it. So
if there's anything I learned from the ending of Persona 5 and Dancing All Night, is that the in-game soundtrack is absolutely a real soundtrack in this universe.
Yeah.
That's
like at the end when they're in the car, they're literally listening to "Wake Up, Get Up, Get Up."
Okay, so like that makes me think of Sword Art Online again, because like when I was reading the books, the explanation for the background music in the game in towns was that there was an actual physical band playing the music in town. So the music was coming from NPCs playing music. It was an interesting way to explain background music in a virtual game. Ugh, SAO has the worst plot twists, but the world details are so great sometimes.
And Dancing All Night is literally, okay, play my song, and it's a song from Persona 4, so...
I think, like, Persona 4 Golden actually added a song to it that was an Enka ballad by the first murder victim. Or, no, the woman, the first murder victim, was cheating on it was cheating with the husband of the, Misuzu Hiragi. Like, there was a song in-universe by Misuzu Hiragi that was added to the soundtrack for Golden. And I think there was also a song that was added that was one of Risei's songs. Was it True Story or something like that?
Also, isn't the main character in the 3 anime listening to the battle theme on his headphones? I think at one point in the battle he takes the headphones off and then the music dies down.
I think actually in Persona 3 the game, the song Burn My Dread was a song that he played on his music during the intro. On his music player during the intro. Like you could hear it in his headphones, and it would cut out whenever the scene cut out to something else. And then there was, of course, the Catherine theme playing as Yu Murakami's ringtone for the the fake girlfriend from hell. That episode was great. They just went full tilt stupid with the stuff that Yu Murakami does to keep his social links pleased. Hey, you see, he's spending time with his kid. It's not like he's neglecting him or anything.
He just doesn't want him to know he was in the Yakuza.
Mm-hmm. Well, I imagine for, you know, reformed criminals, when they have a kid, one of their biggest fears is that maybe their kid will, regress to the same life they came from, so they want to keep them distanced from it. Ooh.
We took down a big art dealer and all we got was 7%.
Yeah, we're up to 16.8.
16.9.
That's a guy gotta do. That's a guy gotta do around here to get past Trump.
Well, you know, just to think about it, that's like 100% increase. I mean, it's 100% of a very small number, but you know, it doubled.
It's just a coincidence.
Coincidence? I think not.
One of the things that I'm slightly confused about is that I'm pretty sure Japan has its own set of emoticons.
Yes.
But like whenever you see emoticons used in text, it's always in text here, I should say, in this game. It's always the Western variety of emoticon, presumably because they're so familiar. I don't really get that particular localization choice because it's not like the Japanese emoticons are hard to decipher when you see them. They're actually really complex and expressive to a point that our emoticons can't hope to match. So, like, yeah.
You can only just now realize, Ryuji.
Yep.
I have short sleeves and everything.
He's really slow. He thinks people are looking at him because he's turned on the charm or something. He's like, oh shit. It's not until he's out here looking directly at you that he realizes everyone on the train, everyone on the station is missing the black jacket.
It's like, aren't you hot or something?
He didn't notice that on the way to the station.
You know, the funny thing is I'm pretty sure that station is the one in Shibuya, so there's a high likelihood that he was in the middle of changing trains, so he's going to have to take the train back home, change out of his uniform, and then,
oh no,
and then come back. And I'm just like, sucks. Hey Ryuji, at this point, you know, just take off your jacket.
And you're probably fine.
Yeah, take off your jacket and stuff it in your bag. You'll be okay. Take your time.
Take your time, haha.
And I just imagine that Akira Kurusu considers saying this to Ryuji, but then just doesn't, because it's so funny to picture him running all the way back home. I'm pretty sure that like in Persona 4, this street just goes on an infinite loop until you get out of the cutscene.
It's just like the Flintstones or something.
Yeah. There's this one particular stretch of like the something floodplain in Persona 4 that did the same exact thing, where everyone's on their way to school walking. You hear chatter, and it just keeps looping by until you get through the scene.
I've already narrowed it down.
Oh, we haven't seen the principal in a long time.
You knew, didn't you?
She's bold to have said this out loud to his face, but goddamn, Makoto, that was the stupidest thing you've done in this entire game, including following Akira around with a goddamn manga novel. But, I mean, come on. This guy's trying to blackmail you into helping him, and you're going to antagonize him to his face? At this point, hold on to that suspicion, and voice it to someone who's actually on your side. Better yet, your sister's a frickin' public prosecutor. Why don't you go home and tell her about this whole situation? She'd be livid. She'd come down on this asshole like a frickin' battle hammer. I mean, there's such an easy out for Makoto here, and she's just not taking it. And I understand why. I understand the thought process, where she's getting the definite sense from her sister that her sister sees her as a burden, so she's trying to handle things on her own. But, come on. Oi. Okay.
Pudgy Lumpkins will get his comeuppance eventually.
Did you see Madarame?
Eventually.
You mean that guy who was all
I also get the sense that oh, wow. That's your idea of changing your uniform, Ryuji. You go home, you take off your jacket and your white shirt.
Which you were supposed to be wearing anyway.
No, he doesn't even take off the white shirt. He takes off the yellow shirt that he was wearing under his jacket, which isn't part of the uniform, and puts on a red shirt, which is also not part of the uniform. Ryuji, please. God damn it.
I always like the little drawings that are on the back chalkboard, like right now it's a crying Madarame.
Whoever draws the chalkboard graffiti in this homeroom must be a goddamn street artist, because they do the best shit. It's like, okay, I imagine this whole headcanon backstory side plot that the Phantom Thieves are just never exposed to throughout Persona 4 about a transfer student who was a street artist delinquent, transferred into Shujin to reform his or her life, and then just like couldn't kick the habit of drawing graffiti every so often, so they took it out on the back chalkboard, and the homeroom teacher's just like, yeah, whatever, I'll leave it up. It's catharsis for him. Better they draw on my chalkboard than on the side of some building.
Yeah, the room is so bright with everyone wearing white.
Oh, Jesus Christ, it's like the mood has changed. Everyone's happy all of a sudden. It's interesting, though, because, like, there's always a few characters in these Persona games that have modified uniforms, but they're only ever the goddamn characters that you play as. So it's like, you know who the main characters of the story are because they're wearing pink sweaters or green sweatshirts or a red cardigan or a yellow shirt underneath their shirt, or they're the guy who opens their jacket and puts their hands in their pocket all the time.
Yeah.
I think Akira Kurusu might be the first protagonist in the series since the first one who wears his uniform buttoned up and unmodified. So
After school.
okay then. Of course, Kurusu makes up for it with like the most stylish daywear ever.
He has that cool guy look.
Yeah. It's around this time of the calendar year that you start getting a lot of rainy days, so I recommend
Well, it's the rainy season, so
yeah, well, I was just gonna say I recommend making sure that you have the money to go and get moist protein as much as possible at this point in the year, at least if you intend on using the gym at all. I mean, the difference is only a few points, but you know, you're using time slots for it, so those few points do make a difference.
Yeah. I forget, are there social links that still work in the rain? Or are they all, like, not happening?
There are a few. Rainy days generally mean that certain characters aren't available, and certain other characters, while still available, are hanging out in a different location than they normally would be.
they like M&Ms.
S&M. Huh.
Well, I mean, that is what happens when you mix Skittles and M&Ms in the same bowl.
Oh.
Oh, Morgana, you're adorable.
Well, I mean, does that pun work in Japanese? I'm trying to imagine it being said by a Japanese person in my head, and I'm just getting the most English as fuck thing ever. Okay. Well, I mean, I guess they did name a character L, so they do English letters.
It wasn't L, it was Eru.
Eru.
Well, yeah, but it was supposed to be L. They showed a big giant letter L on a giant TV screen to make sure you knew it. Man, it's infuriating enough that fanfiction writers insist on sticking with Raito for Light's name. It would be the most hilarious thing ever if any of them tried to transliterate the way they say L in Japanese. Ugh. Anyway, yeah, that tangent about keeping money around so that you can buy moist protein was not an idle tangent, because I ran out of money and had to sell some of my endgame gear. I mean, it's helpful to have these extra accessories that I never use floating around for a rainy day. A literal rainy day. Yeah. Volley cannon. Why didn't I have Ryuji equip that for the Kamoshida boss fight?
Sounds good.
Man, I missed a trick there.
Well, now you know for your 7th playthrough.
Okay.
Yes, indeed.
I guess that's fine.
Selling stuff.
You should
Yep.
be grateful.
What do you mean I should be grateful? You still owe me my reward from last time.
All right.
Sorry, I just love the damn menu music in this game.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, all the shops have their own themes and stuff too. This one I think is called Layer Cake.
Layer Cake, yeah.
Why is it called Layer Cake? Because Y is like an ogre, I guess. Yeah, it's a really cool theme. I always bob my head to it when I come in here to shop. It's very good that they got both the shop menu style and the music down really well for this game, because, well, you know, if you played a JRPG, going into the shops is kind of a tedious process after the 100,000th time. 100,000th. I know numbers. I can math. I know how my... I know which zero means what decimal thing process, I think.
Never have Lewis do your taxes.
Tax season, you know.
Don't say that to me, shopkeep. The loading menus the loading menus tell me that enough.
I want your moist stuff. Moist.
When you put it that way. That sounds disgusting.
Oh, people think it's dirty, alright.
Why is it called moist protein? It was already a protein shake to begin with, so it was already liquid form. Is it extra liquid? I don't get it.
I don't want to know the answers to these
You're
things.
trying to sell me a watered-down protein shake, aren't you? Crafty bastard.
But it works better.
I mean, if it works, whatever, but...
It's all about cognition. You just have to believe.
I gotta believe!
Damn it, Parappa, this is a gym, not a music station.
Go, Kurusu.
To
Run,
the future!
Run. Your guitar is in your mind!
You're running like an actual protag now. Good job.
Anyway, yeah, this was the end of the running exercises. This is the last day that you'll do that. So
I didn't get to the future at all.
Yeah. Nice going. So there's a little bit of a point decrease on this particular day. It's another thing. It's another reason the moist protein helps, because it allows you to get at least a decent enough bonus out of this day at the gym that it's worth going.
Mm-hmm.
Next time, we lift, bro.
Wait, is that the second one? I think the second one was actually punching the sparring dummy.
I think that's last, actually. It was second for me, and when I just recently replayed it.
Yeah, the point is, at some point we're going to be doing lifting and showering. Impress all the ladies.
Yes.
Don't worry, we got a cat that's spotting us.
I mean, come on, Kurusu is a beanpole right now. He needs to get some meat on those bones.
I still wish this game was like Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, where like you go to the gym and then all of a sudden your main character's all buff and muscular.
Damn it! Damn, CJ, how do you gain and lose weight so fast? And how does the barber grow your hair out?
And then you go to the Big Bang Burger and you get all fat.
But you still run almost as fast. At least in certain situations, anyway.
I'm going to have to do the Big Bang Burger challenge at some point because it's frickin' hilarious. Like they took the massive beef bowl rainy day challenge from Persona 4 and turned it into a general thing that you can do any old night. And it's actually something that's really good to do on your first playthrough, because even if you attempt it and fail, you get a significant bonus to, I think, every personality trait except charm.
Yep.
So you go through that and you get the personality bonuses for trying, and it's a good, well-rounded way to get your stats up early on.
It's why when I first played Persona 5, I was making like little jokes on Twitter about how like, oh, my character's so charming, he's so intellectually smart, he's so brave. How'd you get to be all those things? Oh, I just eat burgers every night. You know.
If only it were that easy.
But it's also great because unlike the Rainy Day Beef Bowl Challenge, which was a thing that you would only ever complete once you maxed out all your stats, the Beef Bowl Challenge is laid out in several tiers where you get a different reward for finishing each level of the challenge. And each level of the challenge can be completed when you get all of the associated stats to the next level. So there's like 5 tiers, one for each level. The final one is this burger that's just laid out in front of you as a fucking tower as high as your head.
Yep.
And you finish it. I'm pretty sure it couldn't physically fit in your stomach, but you finish it.
There are extra stomachs for good burgers.
I imagine in my head that what Kurusu actually does is he waits till no one's looking, beams out to the metaverse, and just leaves what's left of the burger there.
I like the attention to detail that when you go into the summer uniforms, the jacket he wears out is white.
Yeah.
Yeah, it versus the colors of his undershirt and jacket.
Yeah. Well, he has like a completely different uniform for winter.
Yeah.
I think that's always a thing, actually. Like in Personas 3 and 4, your characters have different day wear for different seasons. Not that you see much of it in Persona 3 Portable. Oof. Alrighty then. Oh, I reach the height of usefulness, people start saying their art, like my custom guns.
Don't flatter yourself, Awai.
But I'm like, hey, wait, usefulness? Are you implying something about the reason I'm buying your guns, Iwai? Come on. Well, actually, this is yet another hangout spot day. The game just flat out tells you to take him to Inokashira Park, though, so you don't actually have to think about it.
Hooray! Laziness!
Yeah, it's not often that you get the opportunity to take the adult characters to a hangout spot, because, well, obviously that's a bit more awkward. But he's like talking about how he needs a specific kind of location, and if you have the hangout spot that matches that, your character will think of it.
It'll give you a decoration for doing it.
The punchline is, it sounds like he's looking for a private location to do some shady dealings. He just wants to have a picnic with his son. You know? Yeah. I actually didn't know that, or I didn't remember it at least when I was having this conversation. So I was like,
I actually chose that just to be a smartass.
So did I. Yeah, but it
The
turns
thing
out
with
to be
Iwai
the correct
is it's
answer.
really beneficial to be a dick to him because he likes that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it wound up working in this instance. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is another hangout spot location where you get a decoration item for going there. So I recommend doing it. I definitely remember getting this one on my last playthrough. It was the swan boat.
Swan boats?
Those things are always awkward as hell.
Those are cute.
Those paddle boat things. They never steer right.
I haven't been in one since I was in middle school.
I haven't been I went canoeing at one point. It was like a birthday party that a relative was having out at a fishing lake. Small fishing lake, nothing big fancy. But it was a fishing lake that ran off into a river, so you could go canoeing from it. So we would do a short little canoeing trip down the river, and it was interesting. Awkward, like I honestly still don't know how to properly canoe, even though I've done it like twice. So, it's harder than you would think to row a boat.
Well, it's like you're moving something heavy through water.
I mean, just going straight forward or straight backward is easy. It's turning that is the awkward thing.
Well, you kind of need someone to be like a rudder. I mean, that's what we always did, but...
So one of the anons in the bottom right just described Madarame as an epic fail.
We're going for those internet and maymays again.